everybody. Welcome to Restorative. So for tonight's restorative class, you are going to need a block or a big book. If you don't have one of those two things, maybe grab your pillow or a third blanket. And then you will need 2 throw-size blankets or a bolster, but the blankets are probably going to work better for this flow. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Coming into Sukhasana, heels in line with the groin. Bringing the hands to the knees. Start to rock side to side, feeling the sit bones connect to the earth beneath you. Coming into just a little bit of stillness here. Bringing the shoulders up to the ears, waterfall the shoulder blades down the back. And start to imagine there's a string on the top of your head pulling you just a little bit taller. Closing the eyes if that feels safe, and if that doesn't feel safe, lowering the gaze down to the ground. Taking some deep breaths here. Noticing where the air wants to go. Noticing where the air doesn't want to go. Without forcing anything, but maybe gently coaxing, see if the breath will come down just a little bit lower, down into that belly. And letting the belly expand on the inhale and release on the exhale. We're going to open up tonight's practice with some alternate nostril breathing. So taking one hand and flipping it over so the palm's facing the ceiling. Folding the 3 middle fingers down, making the hang loose sign. You're going to bring the thumb up to one nostril, block this side off. Take a deep breath in here and draw the air all the way up to the third eye. Block off with the pinky, release the thumb, exhale. Stay here, inhale. Block off with the thumb, release the pinky, exhale. That's 1 round, doing 4 more. After your last alternate nostril breath, come back to deep yogic breathing. Bringing the hands to heart center, press the thumbs into the sternum, and take just a moment to set a sankalpa or an intent for today's practice. Exhale, release the hands to the knees, drop the chin to the chest. Inhale the ear to one shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, ear to opposite shoulder. Exhale, chin to chest. Continue with this. Let your breath start to carry you. When the ear finds one shoulder, go ahead and leave it there. Bring that same arm up and over, adding just a little bit of pressure. And walk the opposite hand away from the body, lengthening those scalenes. Taking some deep belly breaths here. And then walking the hand behind the body just a little bit more. Inhale, lift up, switching sides. Bringing the ear to the opposite shoulder. Bring that same arm up and over, adding just a little bit of pressure. And walk the opposite hand away from the body, lengthening the scalings. Walking the hand behind the body just a little bit more. Inhale, lift up. We're bring the thumb up towards the ceiling. And then bring it right between the shoulder blades, any way that it gets there. Drop the ear to the opposite shoulder, lengthen the scalings. Inhale, lift up, switching sides, bring the thumb up towards the ceiling. Bring it right between the shoulder blades, any way that it gets there. Drop the ear to the opposite shoulder. Inhale, lift up. We're gonna go ahead and get started. So we're gonna start with both the blankets. We're gonna actually roll them both separately into little burritos. So I like to start with them in a rectangle shape like this. Start at the fringe and edge if you have one, and roll it up. So one of your burritos is gonna sit off to the side for this pose. It's gonna be very patient because we need it for the next pose. You're gonna do the same thing with your second blanket. So if you have a throw size blanket, I'm folding mine in half and then half lengthwise. And from there, I'm rolling from the fringe side up. And we're gonna need our blocks. So, oh, and I forgot to mention, because everybody who's practicing with me live right now practices with me in studio. But if you don't practice in studio with me, we're gonna hold these poses for between 3 and 10 minutes each, and you will be able to relax and sink into them and not have any worries about missing the next cueing, because you'll hear one single chime. And that'll let you know that I'm about to cue the next pose. So we're gonna start with a studio favorite called the Kelly. So we'll bring one block at the top of the mat. This is gonna be your pillow. And then you're gonna take one of your burritos down the mat about a third of the way. From here, you're gonna bring the girls up and over your burrito, make a little room to breathe here. The legs are gonna extend back behind you. Toes will point in, heels will point out. That's gonna help protect the low back. And then we're gonna take one arm and walk one arm across the body in one direction. We're gonna walk the opposite arm across the body in the opposite direction. Use those spidey fingers to hang on to the ground and rest the forehead on the block. We're gonna be here for 3 minutes on each side. So taking some really deep breaths here. So this morning when I was planning this class, I found this really amazing quote by Joel Kramer. And the quote says, yoga is a dance between control and surrender. So my question is, while you are laying here in the Kelly, if you can find just a little bit more surrender in those back shoulder muscles, that back heart space. Slowly start to deepen your breath. We're gonna uncross the arms and recross the arms in the opposite direction. Coming into Kelly on the other side. Slowly deepen your breath and uncross the arms. We're going to take the block off the mat for a minute. Stay just like you are. Bring the forehead straight down to the mat and moosh the hips. Moosh, moosh, moosh. From here, we're going to bring the hands underneath the shoulders and push ourselves up. So the blanket we put at the foot of the mat is still going to come onto the foot of the mat widthwise. The bolster that was just underneath your rib cage is going to come down a little further so that it's right underneath your hip bones. So, resting the ankles on the very first bottom bolster, you're going to bring those knees out super, super wide, bringing the soles of the feet back together. Slipping the other bolster under the hip bones to protect the hip bones and the C curve of that low back. Coming into prone Supta Baddha Konasana. The hands will come overhead, make a diamond shape, palms face down, and the cheek can turn to either side, opening up the hips, relaxing the low back, encouraging grounding, breathing in here. We're here for just shy of 8 minutes, so really sink into relaxation here. It might feel good to turn the cheek to the other side. Slowly start to deepen your breath. Bringing the hands underneath the shoulders. You're going to push the hips back to meet the heels for Balasana, child's pose. Walking the hands back. We're going to come into hero's pose. So I like to keep the blanket under my ankles. If you find that this isn't comfortable, go ahead and move it. You're going to bring the legs together, and I'm actually going to face you so you can see what I'm about to do. So hanging out in heroes supported, so supporting those ankles with the blanket, but you don't have to. We're going to interlace the fingers at shoulder height. Push the fingers away and round the back. See if you can find that deliciously stressful spot actually between your shoulder blades and release some of that tension. Then from here, inhale, lift the arms up overhead, staying in the supported hero's pose. We're going to lean to the side in crescent moon. Push the scapula, the wing, up towards the ceiling. Coming back to center, switching sides. Crescent moon, opposite side. Push the scapula up towards the ceiling. Exhale, come back to center, release the hands, rolling out the shoulders. We're gonna go ahead and come off the blanket. Move them off the mat. You'll need them in a little bit, but not right now. So we're gonna come flat onto the back. So any way that happens for you, you take the legs down the length of the mat And bring the arms up overhead. Really take a full body stretch here from the tips of the fingers to the tips of the toes, really taking up as much room as you possibly can. We're going to bring the hips over to the left wide edge of the mat. You'll keep both hips on the ground. It's just that you've sassied the hip over to the left wide edge of the mat. From here, you're going to take both feet and walk both feet to the right corner of the mat. And take that left leg and place the left leg on top. Oh, hello, hip flexor. Notice how both hips are still flat on the ground. From here, if this is an intense enough stretch for that hip flexor, go ahead and hang out there. But if you want to make it a little bit more intense and get a great side body stretch here, bring the hands over to the right corner of the mat with the left hand on top. Coming into a pose we know as banana asana. We'll be here for 3 minutes on this side, and then we'll switch sides. We're going to bring the arms back to center. Bring the legs back to center. Bring the hips back to center. And pause here for just a second, making yourself super long. Bringing the hips out to the right wide edge of the mat. Bringing both feet to the left corner with the right leg on top. Maybe bringing both hands to the left corner with the right hand on top. Coming into banana asana, opposite side. Slowly deepen your breath, bringing the arms back to center, bringing the legs back to center, and bringing the hips back to center. One more time, stretch the length of the mat, taking up as much room as you possibly can. For a bend both knees, planting the soles of the feet onto the ground. Reaching for our block or a book. Wherever it went. Most of us are going to be on this mama bear level, this medium height. Some of us may choose to stay on a baby bear level, and there's a few that might attempt the papa bear level. This is super intense, so make sure that if you choose the papa bear level, that that's actually what's right for your body tonight. Putting the weight into the heels, we're going to lift the hips up and slip that block right underneath the hips. Take a moment to re-parallel the feet. Walk the shoulder blades down the back. Just create space in the shoulders here. Hanging out here for about 5 minutes in supported bridge pose. So we've reached the part of the class where a lot of people start to have a really, really busy mind. And one of the quotes that I came across when I was writing a meditation course by Ramakrishna says, bondage and liberation are of the mind alone. So where can we find sweet surrender? And where can we find liberation tonight here on the mat with our breath and in our minds? Softening, softening. Slowly start to deepen your breath. And put the weight into the heels. Lift the hips up and remove the block. Coming back onto the spine. Take just a moment to hug the knees up to the chest. Make yourself into a small ball. Now start to press the hips and the shoulder blades into the mat as you hug those knees a little closer to the chest. Beautiful. Releasing the knees, planting the soles of the feet flat onto the ground. Doing whatever is comfortable with the arms. We're going to start to windshield wiper the knees from side to side. Dropping both knees down to the left. You're going to walk your right foot over to the right wide edge of the mat just a little bit so that the knees are nice and staggered. We're going to take our left ankle and bring it on top of the right thigh, saying hello to this right hip flexor. We're only here for about a minute on each side, so if you're cursing my name, it's only for about 60 seconds. It's okay. Giving those hips some love tonight. Bringing the left foot back down towards the mat. We're going to windshield wiper the knees a few more times. And then dropping the knees down to the right. We're going to bring that right ankle and rest it on top of that left thigh, activating the left hip flexor. And once again, doing whatever feels right with the arms. Releasing the right foot back down towards the mat, windshield wipering the knees just a couple more times. We're going to hug the knees up to the chest and bring ourselves up to a seated position. So the last move is Yogi's Choice. Savasana is always an option, so laying flat on the back, bringing the heels out as wide as the mat, walking the shoulder blades down the back, palms facing up. You're welcome to hang out in Savasana. Or maybe you grab your blanket and you slip your blanket under your knees, like so. Or perhaps you take your blanket lengthwise, bring it down the mat. Bring the blanket so it's right at the sacrum and lay flat back. Bringing the soles of the feet together, the knees open out wide, and bring the arms up overhead. Now, if you are like me and you have a history like me, and that just doesn't feel comfortable, that feels super vulnerable and open, even in your own home, go ahead and grab your blankies and bring your blankets over your hips. Add that little bit of extra pressure from the outside here. Invite in that calm, coming into a supported Supta Baddha Konasana. So like I said, maybe you're in Savasana, maybe you're in Supta Baddha Konasana, or maybe you've gone rogue and you're doing legs up the wall. This is your practice. We're here for a little over 5 minutes. Breathing into the space. Coming back to those concepts we've been playing with. The idea of surrender, softening, liberation of the mind. slowly start to deepen your breath and start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Bring the arms up and over the head for a full body stretch. Straightening the legs, taking up as much room as you possibly can. There's absolutely no reason to play small. Rolling over onto one side, pausing there. Bringing to mind one thing that you love about yourself. One thing that you're grateful for right now. And offering yourself just a moment of gratitude for practicing tonight. When you're ready, and only when you're ready, push yourself up to a seated position with hands at heart center. And I leave you with this quote by Mastin Kipp. Surrender and accept that whatever is happening in this moment, the universe is working on your behalf. I am so grateful for the opportunity to practice with each and every one of you. The light in me so very much honors the light in you. Namaste.